Welcome, everybody, to Building Integrity. I am one of the hosts, Josh Porter. I am the owner and principal engineer of Consult Engineering. And this is Sam. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Samuel Burnley. I'm the Director of Marketing at Consult Engineering, and we have conceived this new project, which we're calling Building Integrity. And we're going to let Josh tell you a little bit more about why we decided to do this and what it's going to entail and really who it's for. So,
Sure. So, Building Integrity sort of became a brainchild of Consult Engineering during the COVID-19 period of 2020, where you couldn't really go out, you couldn't market, and part of what we do in marketing is training and education. So we really wanted to start producing videos for the public and for the construction and engineering industry that kind of covered the things that we wanted people to know and wanted to educate people about. And one of the main things that we're trying to do with Building Integrity is we're trying to create an environment where, or create products and videos and information that can actually improve the construction and engineering industry. Because one of the things that I have discovered, I've been in construction my whole life. I've been doing engineering, specifically consulting for existing buildings and properties, and forensics for about 13 years. And one of the things that I commonly found was poor workmanship. A lot of times contractors think that nobody's paying attention, nobody cares, or maybe they have a worker or an employee that work for them, and maybe the GC doesn't even know that their worker is not doing good work or something like that. And then what happens is buildings leak, things fall down, and we get called in to come and figure it out. And constantly we're finding that the cause for a lot of construction related and engineering problems is this almost like a lack of ethics. And so that's sort of the goal with Building Integrity, was to build up
build some integrity.
build integrity. So that's sort
So,
of that dual meaning.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a play on words, I guess. You're not only talking about the integrity of the buildings, but building integrity within the industry as well.
That's right. And I think, I have done over 30 court cases as an expert witness where I do engineering forensics. We investigate problems, engineering defects, construction defects. And one of the things that really shocked me over the years is in a lot of cases, these developers, contractors, engineers, they know they're taking shortcuts. And that really bothered me because we live in an age starting in the 70s, but it really took hold in the 80s, where the bottom dollar was king, and you owed a moral obligation to your shareholders and to the bottom line. And what this has allowed people to do is justify,
Being sloppy, yeah.
yeah, bad building practices and bad ethical practices, and it allowed them to say, well, I'm I go to they're able to sleep at night because their greater good is making a buck. And it's a strange world we live in, but my in my opinion, what I was taught in college about civil engineering, and which covers a lot of different engineering branches, structural and civil and drainage and things like that, but is that we owe our first obligation to the safety and welfare of the public. And so that, I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I really took that to heart. And I'll even have clients that will sometimes question me and say, well, you owe us this or that. And I'm like, well, really, I owe you, the public, the residents that live here, not just you 4 or 5 board members. And so that's an interesting thing. I'm constantly trying to educate not only the public, like our clients, but I'm also trying to educate contractors and things about these matters.
hmm So, who are the clients? You say our clients and the board members we work for.
Yeah, I mean, and really, our clients are part of the audience for this channel, for Building Integrity, and for the videos that we're going to be producing. But we also want the audience to kind of reach out further to the general public. But we work mostly with condo and homeowner associations, and end users of large properties, like large commercial properties, hotels, things of that nature are also part of our clients. So basically, anybody who owns and is responsible for maintaining large properties, large buildings, and small properties and small buildings. We also work with single family homes and single family residents as well. But the bulk of our work ends up being those folks. So we're really trying to make videos that educate those people when they have to hire a contractor, when you have to hire a roofer, when you have to hire an engineer. What questions should you be asking? What things should you be looking for? So that's going to be a lot of the topics that we're going to end up covering in our videos. But then on top of that, really broadening our audience for the videos that we're producing and for what we're trying to do with building integrity is contractors, engineers, engineering students in college. We want people to really learn a couple things about things that maybe they are not taught when they're learning their trade or they're learning engineering.
Right, as well as anyone who's just kind of curious about construction in general, or even likes tools. Any Bob the Builder type or tool fancy.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we're going to touch on that stuff a little bit. What we're going to try to do is focus on things that you don't see a lot of, right? I mean, we can look up on the internet. You can look up hundreds of videos about the latest drill that came out by such and such company. But what we're really going to be looking at is specialty equipment and tools that you would use on these types of projects. Hopefully, we're going to be producing videos where we're going to go do some factory tours. So we have a whole list of wish list of things that we want to cover and do. It's pretty ambitious, but again, all centered around this intent of educating the public about construction and engineering, and then showing contractors, that we're paying attention.
Right. Yeah. So build your own integrity or else, right?
Kinda, yeah. And I mean, I think for me, it always shocks me whenever I do some of these expert witness cases that sometimes the contractors seem almost like genuinely shocked that they got caught, cutting corners, in other words. So that's what happens. So no contractor intentionally does. I don't believe any contractor intentionally sets out to do harm or to do really bad work to make them look bad. It's all about corner cutting. And in a lot of cases, the corners that get cut by various contractors, subcontractors, and engineers are corners that they don't think or they don't realize are going to hurt people either financially.
Have a snowball effect over time.
Exactly. And I could just come up with hundreds and hundreds of topics and examples of that. But yes, it really, we're working on a building right now, literally just down the street from us. And they've got, major structural repairs that they've got to do. It's actually the subject matter for one of our videos that we're going to be releasing with our launch, our packet of launch videos, if you will. But yeah, major structural damage to this building, and the building's about 35 years old. But it wouldn't have suffered really any of these damages had the building been built right and built correctly 35 years ago. Right. So again, it came down to corner cutting. And sometimes it genuinely comes down to contractors and engineers just not knowing better. That also comes down to a lack of education. Again, part of what we're doing, why we're doing this building integrity thing, is so that they're to kind of eliminate those excuses.
Right.
But beyond that, I mean, I want to say that the goal of the project. This is kind of a project for Consult Engineering Building Integrity. Our goal overall, really though, is to raise the ethical standards in the industry. And we kind of talked more about like how we're doing that, but the reason why we're doing that is because we want to know that someday we're going to retire and we're going to move on from what we're doing. And if we can even influence even a tiny bit the next generation of contractors and engineers to do a better job, to behave ethically. And what I mean by that, I mean behaving with integrity. And I personally define integrity as doing the right thing when nobody else would know that you did the wrong thing. Right. As an engineer, it's doing those extra calculations that you're like, oh, but I already know that. Or I already have a gut feeling. We call it gut engineering sometimes. I already have a gut feeling that this is going to work or this is going to be right. But it's like, nah, sit down, do the calculations, make sure it's going to be safe, make sure it's going to be right. And when the contractors, sometimes we'll end up, we end up working on these projects that are high rises. And you got to imagine, right? You and another worker are on a swing stage, which we're covering
Which
swing
you'll
stage.
all find out about soon.
That's
Very
right.
soon.
Yeah, we have a whole video on kind of a crash course on swing stages. But if you got two guys up on a swing stage and you grab several tubes of caulk and your job's to caulk up windows, and it's getting close to lunchtime or it's getting close to the end of the day, and you're running low on caulk that's up there with you on the swing stage. If you've ever ridden a swing stage, it can take 20 to 35 minutes just to traverse the side of the building. And so these guys are like, well, I've only got 45 minutes left out of the day. I don't want to waste it all doing riding up and down a swing stage. So they'll start kind of putting a little bit less caulk out. Yeah, they thin it out, put a little less caulk on there. So these things happen, and these foremen, they're down on the ground. They don't, and a lot of times they're not going up and riding and inspecting this work. So a lot of what we do professionally outside, we're talking about two things here in this video. We're talking about building integrity, but we're also talking a little bit about consult engineering because that's where we come from, and that's what we do. But that's something that we oftentimes get hired to do. We are the guy, or we have the staff that goes up there and double checks this work that the contractor's not double checking. And even in modern, construction today, we're catching stuff all the time, every day. And again, it's not this stuff where the contractor's trying to be egregious or trying to be bad. It's just they can't provide that level of inspection even over their own workers that we can provide. And so it gives us an opportunity to really catch a lot of that stuff. So,
yeah. Well, in the future, we're going to be bringing a lot more videos to you from here in the studio. This is our Building Integrity studio here at Consult Engineering World Headquarters, I like to call it. We're also going to have videos out in the field where you'll get to ride along with me or Josh or somebody else that works for us, or occasionally contractors. We might mic somebody else up and let a true professional tell you, what's going on, give you their own opinion about everything. And then Josh will also have a purely educational component where he's sitting at his desk in his office, giving you the real in-depth version of everything that we've been talking about and the things that, maybe a little bit more of the theory involved of the kind of stuff that we're showing you out in the field in person.
Yeah, I like to think of those as more like deep dive videos. And so some of the things I'm really excited about doing and producing with our team here is videos related to forensics. I really like engineering forensics. I like this stuff. It's really interesting, and I think a lot of you guys will find it interesting as well. And what a lot of these videos are going to be is looking at specific case studies. I mean, obviously, I'll redact the name of the property and the parties involved. But looking back at a lot of my cases that have already closed, which has been over 20-something cases have been settled and closed out now, and going back and looking at the subject matter and looking at what did the engineer for the defendant say about this situation, what did the engineer for the plaintiff say, and sort of dissecting that and breaking it down for everybody. And I think some people would find
and
that
how
interesting.
did the lawyers try to twist it all around to favor their client's outcome, right?
Yeah. And speaking of lawyers, one of the things we're going to try to do too, Sam, you're going to be doing a lot of interviews, hopefully in this room, in our studio. And one of our first guests that we're going to try to get you guys is a very well-known construction attorney, and he specializes in construction defects. So a lot of times, either defendants or plaintiffs will hire this attorney when they're looking to sue a contractor for defective workmanship or defend against that. So this guy's,
which, as you said, almost every developer ends up getting sued sooner or later, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I remember going through a warehouse once with an attorney and walking down the aisles, and it was a warehouse of old projects that developer had done, and you could see the name of each development in a box, on the side. And as we're walking down, the attorney's saying, "Oh, I sued them on this one," and "Oh, we sued them on that one," and "Yeah, we sued them on that one." So it's a pretty common problem, and especially down here in the southeast, down in Florida, southeast of the country, down in Florida here, we find that a lot of developers get sued on almost every project down here in Florida. And one of the things that makes our job unique and our area in the world unique is that Florida has a booming construction economy, especially just comparing it to the rest of the world, comparing it to the rest of the nation. We're a very booming state as far as new construction is concerned, and we have some of the worst construction practices in the entire United States.
Right.
So with that combination, you got a lot of bad construction going on.
And kind of toothless inspection as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, we could, we're probably breaching into a lot of different, subject matters.
Stay
but
tuned
for
more information.
But that's right, and when you're an engineer in a state or you're a contractor in a state, and the state basically absolves everybody in the building department from any liability, it kind of raises the question of what kind of quality inspection work are you actually getting,
Another subject for another day, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us on this first video. My name is Sam. We have Josh Porter here, and we are going to be talking with you a lot more in the future.
Yep. And I look forward to it.
And if you have any suggestions for content you'd like to see, please reach out to us by email or in the comments section. We'd be anxious to hear what you have to say about, not necessarily about Josh and I, but maybe what you'd like to see in the future. And we appreciate you joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care, everybody.